The idea of taking something so complex as a video game and turning it into a piece of media and art capable of representing humanity and many different themes is an idea that's been explored over and over again by many different developers and people. One such developer is Hideo Kojima, whose game Death Stranding certainly garnered controversy as it tried to push games forward into what fans called an era without games needing to be fun and needing to be children's toys, instead being great pieces of art and media capable of representing very potent themes and universal facts. The idea that was explored in this game was seen by many as creative and unique, but by others it was seen as a disappointment, as it did not embrace its movie-like structure enough and instead focused on locking that behind gameplay many found gross. I believe that taking the tools that developers and publishers and coders have to make video games and putting in other tropes of other medias into it is genius and could easily work very, very well. Yet, it truly hasn't been explored in a way that satisfies enough people. Another such group of games that have tried to do this are the David Cage series of games, Beyond Two Souls, Detroit Become Human, and Heavy Rain, which were lauded by some as great pieces of media, taking fun, interesting gameplay and applying some strong narratives to them. However, by others, they were seen as boring, quick-time events, similar to how Until Dawn was viewed, a 2015 PlayStation 4 exclusive game. Another series of games that have tried to do this are games by Naughty Dog, specifically Uncharted 1 through 4 and The Last of Us 1 and Part 2. All of these 6 games have been lauded by critics and, most of the time, by fans alike, yet some have garnered controversy over specific parts. Uncharted 1 was seen as a great way to make a fun shooter with some unique cinematic elements. Uncharted 2, however, had some incredible gameplay lauded by critics and fans as near perfection with a story people adored. Uncharted 3, however, was met with mixed reception as it maintained the great gameplay and story from before, yet fell a bit flat as it wasn't as memorable, and that's something very important with games trying to push important themes. The Last of Us was met with critical and fan acclaim, as well as Uncharted 4, both seen as games with incredible, unique gameplay, as well as very in-depth stories with integral plots and unique character development with intersecting unique narratives in Uncharted 4 and a great bond and relationship between two characters in The Last of Us. The idea of taking all of that fun gameplay and applying it to a cinematic structure was seen as the best way to combine art and video games yet. Many games aren't seen as art, which is fair in my opinion. They're seen as kids' toys, just fun little time wasters, which in some cases they are. The fundamental idea of video games was the same as board games, to just pass the time. Same thing with what movies and TV shows started out as well as books. Eventually, though, they took on more intellectual, educational, and psychological ways. Movies became integral pieces of art, TV shows became important ways to convey stories through chapter-like episodes, and books became the home of philosophers, scientists, and all kinds of educators used for many different purposes. Evolving over so many years, they were able to achieve this, yet video games were new, and prematurely bringing them into this way of media and art wasn't really working out in many's favor. Many story-based games, like Death Stranding, like Until Dawn, were met with mixed reception or bad reception by many. And it's understandable why, as they didn't fully embrace the artistry. Instead, they tried to combine it and instead satisfied nobody in the end. At least in the case of Death Stranding, according to many people. However, while Uncharted and The Last of Us series both thrived under this, they were still seen as half art, not truly creative expression, not truly able to achieve what movies and books and other forms of media, paintings, music were able to achieve, as those will always be seen as greater than for many years to come, as there is a always reliant stigma against new forms of media becoming art. When books and even written language itself were brand new, they were seen as wastes of time to teach the youth so they could waste their lives on it. Same thing with films, same thing with TV shows, and especially with video games. Yet, as life goes on, we start using them for education. Who knows, in 100 years, video games could be used as books are, as movies are, to educate people and entertain them as well. And people are pushing that. But it's just admirable. It's not very incredible because they're not able to do it in a satisfying way. They're able to have an admirable ambition and want for video games to be able to prematurely grow into this form of art, but they don't understand how to combine fun gameplay with a strong media-like narrative that can truly entice all people. They're not very good at combining those things in a great way. Some have been able to thrive under certain circumstances, but even then, they're not able to be considered true art forms, as, again, it is a premature growing into media that many will not accept in an understandable way, as many games still remain to be not art. One developer who has done this is Nintendo. Nintendo has been pushing to make games more of fun pastimes, which is also very admirable, as that's what video games started out as, and they're trying to remain at the roots of that. But now video games are becoming more cinematic experiences with enticing narratives, great characters, and incredible development and relationships between those characters that are unique, with great themes that push into the real world, blurring the line between media and life, which is a very, very important thing that other forms of media have been able to do. Yet video games, because some developers remain in this way, cannot achieve that as of right now. According to many people, they just cannot be art as of right now because people are warring against the idea of them being art. And if everybody can't agree on something being art, why is it art? That is what many people have been saying, yet many others say even fun games are pieces of art, as they have to all include art itself, paintings, drawings, models, and the coding itself is seen as an art, because if writing can be seen as an art, so can coding in a unique way and making mechanics function that are unique, as well as the narratives, which have been largely ignored by people on the other side. There is a strong argument for both of these sides, arguing about if video games can achieve this, yet it is a war that many outside of the world of gaming just ignore and automatically jump to the side of video games not being able to achieve this, which is understandable. When people don't understand a form of media, they can't understand why it's art. When people don't understand music, they can't understand why it's art. When people didn't understand written language, they couldn't understand it was art. But as they become more artistic, more universal, more unique and creative, they are seen as art. We are in the waiting game now, waiting until video games can become more respected as art forms, pushing to make people think about their lives and what they have done. They are able to convey strong messages now for sure, yet it will take quite a while before everybody can accept that as a universal fact. Universal facts just like the ones that games are trying to push now in very admirable ways.